Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Occupational Therapy for Life. Today we're going to be talking about becoming an occupational therapist or a certified occupational therapy assistant, which we call COTA. So there's OTR and then there's COTA. All right, as usual, like and subscribe. And disclaimer, I'm not your provider. If you have a medical emergency, always call 911. And if you have any issues, always talk to your primary care provider. They know you best. They know your medical history, and they will be able to guide you in the process. And should you ever need a therapist, well, they'll recommend you to one. All right, so before I became a therapist myself, as I said in previous episodes, that I found out about the field through my brother-in-law, who is a therapist himself. So since I didn't know much about the field, so I took the COTA route. So when I was a therapist at the time, it wasn't COTA, it was OTA assistant. So basically occupational therapy assistant. The C was basically say you sat for the test, so you were certified. But before, whether you had the C or or no C, you could just simply work. But as the years go by, standards got changed and they made the C a requirement. Getting the C was like a plus. I don't even know if you got paid more, but it was a plus. I think some people could have used that as a argument to justify getting paid more, but yeah, there was no C. So now C is the standard. So to become an occupational therapy assistant, basically it's a 3-year program. Well, it's really a 2-year program, but the first year is dedicated to prerequisites. These are classes that you need before you get into the program. When I became a therapist, it wasn't hard to get into the program because one, there was a shortage of male therapists, because the male therapists were desired, and two, occupational therapy wasn't as popular as it is now, so there was essentially no waiting list for me. I finished my requirements, got in. Now you might have to wait a year or two, depending on which school you go to, depending on the state, so it varies. So why would you want to become a occupational therapy assistant versus a OTR? Well, the schooling requirements are different, and becoming an OTR is a longer. You're in school a bit longer, and the education is a bit more intense. But for someone who is unsure, sometimes it's like becoming a OT assistant is a way to fill out the field and see if it's a good fit for you. And you don't have as much responsibilities as you would if you're an OTR. So you could do it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to continue on. If you do like it, like I did, I went and got my master's and became an occupational therapist. And so what are basically the requirements to become a certified occupational therapy assistant? Well, you need to learn about occupational therapy to know what it is. So usually they want you to get observation hours. They want you to go to go to a place where occupational therapists work. Traditionally, you find occupational therapists in long-term care, skilled nursing facilities, and you go observe and see what occupational therapy assistants do. I myself have had potential students or potential people who want to become a therapist come watch what I do as an OCR. And but even when I was a COTA too, so they see what you do, they ask question, and that time is just observation. You have to get a certain amount of hours of observation, and then once you get that done, you complete your prerequisites of course, you reach out to the school and you get those prerequisites done, so you're able to meet the requirements. And you have to apply for an accredited program, which is important because some programs, if not accredited, you can finish the program and you can't become a therapist. So accredited basically it's a review process that makes sure the programs adheres to the guideline and standards of quality. And if that program does that, that become accredited. So that's why when you apply for a program, make sure it says accredited. Where you have school who are just putting a program together and they allow students to come in, they'll let the student know, hey, we're not accredited, but we are applying to become accredited. So it's on you if we just happen not to get accredited. You've invested time and money, and we may not get the accreditation, but typically it usually works out. I don't know any example myself personally where a school who is in the process of getting accreditation and have students and at the end did not become accredited. So you want to make sure it's an accredited program. And once you're in a program, you complete your field work. Field work is basically I'm going to a site. There's different sites you can go to. Site that focus on physical disabilities, like I said, nursing home. You can go to a school where children are getting therapy. You can go to a mental health facility, outpatient. So it depends on the sites that your school has access to, and also what are you interested in, and then you will go and do field work. There's 2 levels of field work. There's field work where level 1, what I did, you spend a week, you're observing, you're following the therapist around and see what they do for that week. You follow the therapist's schedule. And then there's level 2 where you're spending more than 1 week. You're usually there, at least as a COTA, Certified Therapy Assistant, you could be there for 4 months. That 4 months can be split. It could be 4 months in skilled nursing facility, maybe 4 months in the school, however you guys work it out based on your program setup. And you become essentially becoming a therapist. You're going to do everything the therapist does. You're going to take on their caseload. You're going to do everything they would do. They'll just be there to shadow you, to make sure, to give you input, to help guide you throughout the process so you know what it's like to become a therapist. And after you do your field work, you got to take a national board certification exam, NBCOT. So this exam, you have to pay for it and you have to go sit. It's usually about 4 to 5 hours. You got to answer questions. You're being tested on your clinical judgment, your reasoning skills. Basically, do you know a certain level of information? And if you are able to pass, then you essentially get your license and you become a therapist, and then you go find work, and you continue learning. You continue learning because, you know, your journey's not over. You know, you just got the basics. You still want to learn how to do certain things. You want to work around other therapists so that way you could see different styles of treatment, different ways of communicating to clients and so forth. Now, to become an OTR is similar way, similar process. The only difference is OTR, you probably spend 6 months at a facility. Some cases they might make you do 9 months. I've rarely seen it, but the reason why you might have to do 9 months is because 3 months for physical disabilities, 3 months for kids, and 3 months for mental health. So, but usually the schools, I rarely know any schools that make a therapist do 9 months. That you usually have to do 6 months. You can choose between 2 fields. So you have more diversity, more broad options in that. So usually I recommend people to do field work in a field that they know they're interested in working in. Because it's the worst case you can do is try to go and work in a field you didn't have no experience in, not even observation, nothing. And so select one that you already know. And the salary differences, well, it goes by state, because in some state, like for example, I did a search today and the salary in Washington, D.C. is $76,000, whereas in New York is $70,000 and Delaware is $71,000. So it varies by state demands and the need that are available. And whereas in OTR, salary for New Jersey is 101. That's one of the highest that I saw. And Alaska is 98, whereas Hawaii is 95. So different states have different salary that they offer, but at the same time, different states have different requirements. Like when it comes to what we call physical agent modalities, if you're giving somebody moist heat, you may, at some state, you may have to do a special course for that and be certified before you can even apply that. Or they may say only physical therapists in our state will give moist heat to clients, because moist heat is a physical agent modality. It could pose risk. Somebody has a certain condition that might be a contraindication. If it's there too long, fragile skin, they could burn. All kinds of things could happen. So some states have different rules on how they want things done, and you got to know your state's regulations and follow through with that. That's pretty much it, between the two different fields. So if you are not sure about the field, become a COTA. If you're sure, become an OTR. Why would you become an OTR? Because you have more power, meaning that as an OTR, you're the one who is putting people on program. You're the one who is supervising the assistants. You're the one who is able to go to work in all the different areas without needing supervision like a COTA would. Like, most schools don't have COTAs because they're not set up like that. So most schools have OTRs, and that's it. Long-term care skilled nursing facility, you're more likely to find COTAs. The OTRs will put the person on program, and the COTA will do treatments. And just like most of the time, you will see a occupational therapist as a director of rehab versus a COTA. It's not hard for a COTA to become a occupational a director of rehab. It's just not common. How can a COTA become a director of occupation of a rehab place? Well, they just need to have a on-site OTR working while they do the administrative stuff of a rehab director. So, but ideally you have more choices as an OTR. You have a higher salary, and in some parts of the world they don't have an assistant program. It's just pretty much OTR, physical therapy, speech. There's no assistant. So in America, there's more flexibility. There's more of a need for, at least there's programs that supports occupational therapy assistant. All right, I hope that was helpful. Nice talking to you guys. Have a good day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Till the next episode. All right, bye.